Hi girls, we're going to now try to answer some questions about the family. I hope they're not too difficult. So, as Louisa is first on my screen, she's so lucky. Can you read the first question, Louisa? And what we might do is two people will answer the first question and then another two people the second. So 2 points of view. So Louisa, read the first question, please.
Okay. Do you think that the family bond is the same in all the cultures? Can I start answering?
Yes, please.
Oh my gosh. In my opinion, it depends on various factors, various aspects. It's not the same in the different cultures. Depend on. I believe that the second statement here kind of answers a little this first.
So can I just interrupt?
Depends on the religion and
right.
Other
but
things.
when they say culture, what do you understand for culture? The country you come from or the religion? What do you understand if someone says to you? Culture.
Culture, maybe country, especially country and religions and habits and.
Right, so the blend of both country and religion, maybe that could be culture. No, I wasn't quite sure.
Yeah.
So, for example, you are from Brazil. Do you think the outlook for families, the way they bond and mix and act, is different from the way I do it, for example?
Yeah, in general, I believe it has a lot of similarities, but depend on each family because of religion and beliefs and environment. That's my point of view.
And you, Linda, what do you think?
Okay, about first question.
Yes, please.
Yes, in my opinion, we are all human. So in general, it's the same, but there is some differences that depends on culture and religion. But in general, it's the same, in my opinion.
I'm thinking about this because, like you said, it depends on the family unit. Each family unit is a different story. So it depends what objective the family has of working together, being together, that will reflect in the way they are. So, for example, I think I've mentioned it before. My family unit is very small, but my children are independent and they are not like the typical Spanish bonding of everything must be done together in family. So it's a different objective because we think that once you are 18, you are becoming of age and it's time for you to fly the nest and to start your own life with the support of your family if it's necessary, but we are not dominating what you do and don't do.
Yeah, it depends on the time you live, the generation, this bond changes a lot, in my opinion.
I remember my mother now, she was so dominating. I never got to do anything without her telling me what was necessary of me until I was 40 or 50. Yeah, so, for example, in your case, Louisa, did your parents tell you what you had to do even though you were married?
No, no.
Right, so that's okay. No. Yeah. And in your case, Linda, do the family dominate your decisions when you have to make them?
It depends on, recently it changed. So in the past, for example, I can give an example. In the past, the girl will marry only if the parents agree for the person. But nowadays it changed, and the girl has her own opinion. And nowadays the girl chooses her husband, not like in the past. So the time has changed and people change also. But
Right.
yeah.
So before, the parents had to give permission for the child, for the daughter to get married, with
Yes.
who, when, and how. And you feel that things have been changing, maybe not for everybody, but for more people than before.
Exactly.
And Claudia, have you had any ideas on this, or you're the same as us?
No, I completely agree with your opinions. Nowadays, things have changed for many families, but there are still a lot of influence for women, especially, in order to take their own decisions.
To make their own decisions, so they're still in. So the second one, Louisa, you're saying is very related to the first one. Families attitude. Sorry. Families' attitudes depends on their religion or people's outlook on life. So that's more or less the same, no?
Yes.
Maybe before, when I was younger, the religion reflected on the way I got married, the way I had my children. But now my daughter's generation don't take those things into consideration, no? Right then, so to change, yeah.
Nowadays, the things are different.
Yeah, so different, because I remember I would have liked to have lived with my husband and not get married, but I wasn't allowed to do that. Society didn't allow me to do that. So if I wanted to be with my husband, I had to get married. But now young people, more or less, they can do what they want, no, without too many interfering family members. Not everybody, but a majority. Right, Linda, read number 3, because these are a bit difficult.
Okay, can I add something about the number 2? Because
yes,
here,
of course.
yeah, because in my country, or in all Muslim countries, religion is very important when it comes to marriage, for example. So the imam, or it's the equivalence of the priest for the church, and for Islam we have imam. So he should be present in the wedding to make the marriage official.
So he should bless your marriage.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
Right.
Yes.
So, well, I will talk about, I don't know, Spanish wedding, because this is where I got married. I didn't get married in England. And I got married in the cathedral here where I live, and the priest blessed the marriage, but also we have a legal person that comes to do the paperwork. Yeah. So I don't know if it's a lawyer, but he's representing the law, and these papers you need to sign. So the church and the legal part of the government work together. So you have the religious ceremony with the priest that blesses your marriage. And at the same time, you have a part of the government there who sits to one side. And when you finish the religious ceremony, you go and sign the book and the papers, and you have 2 or 3 witnesses to verify that you did get married. That is one way of doing it. And then there's another one in a registry office. A registry office is just an official place where you go and you sign the papers. And you don't have any religious blessing or ceremony. So you can choose which one you want.
I did it version.
You did the 2 versions.
the last one you said in an official
registry office.
Yeah, only no religion ceremony.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
So I got married in a cathedral, a church. My husband didn't believe in anything, but he did it for me and my family. And as I said, the registrar, that's the name of the person I just remembered, the registrar was there to sign the papers. Then I know the people that don't want all this ceremony, don't want anything to do with religion, and they just go to the registry office. Well, I don't think
Claudia has gone.
Claudia, I think something must have gone with the internet. So I can't imagine that happening to you. I don't know if you have anything legal where you come from, Lydia, or you just have your mosque wedding.
Yes,
and that is enough.
No, we need to make the legal one marriage, because it's necessary for the future, for the children, to take the name of the father and mother. So we have both.
So do you go to the registrar office first, and then at a later date you have the big religious ceremony?
Yes,
Could that
yes,
be it?
yes,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah.
The reason I'm saying it is because I know of people in Morocco who get married and they do like the paperwork, as I call it, the registry office. And then at a later date, they save up money and they organize it and they have the big wedding.
Yeah.
And Linda, how many days do you have there? In Morocco, they have 3 days.
Yes, in the past it was like this also in my country, but it costs a lot of money for people, and the life tend to be expensive these days. So people tend to have only 1 or 2 days for the celebration.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember, Louisa, that people used to tell me in Morocco, people I used to meet, and they used to borrow money from a person that lends money, or they used to borrow it from the bank, and they could be all their life paying back the wedding.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is going a bit off subject, but more or less that can happen, no? I know people had nothing, but it was more important that society saw them in this moment in splendor, that it didn't matter about how much it costs, no? Right, so we went a bit off the subject. Right, this question is very difficult, the next one. We're all going to give them to Louisa. Right, would you change something from your family? Louisa, would you change anything in your family?
Oh my gosh, nowadays the world is so crazy and the people are fighting to survive. I don't think so, because life is so competitive. But of course, I'd like my family
to get on well.
Is more, yeah, is more get
Closer?
together with frequently. But I know, as I said, this competition to survive makes things harder.
Yeah, it's difficult sometimes, because when we're all adults, everyone has their own personality. Some are more dominating than others. So someone has to take the back seat. Not everyone can be dominating and telling everyone what to do, no? So this is the problem. Once we get to adulthood, we all want to have our say, and sometimes we can be a bit impatient with the other people in the family, no?
Yeah.
Right, so what you would like to do is that everyone gets on in your family and they would have a close relationship.
Yeah.
Linda, what about you? Would you like to change something in your family?
Yes, but not only in my family, but on my society families, because there is no women and men, they are not equal in terms of duties. Right. So most of the duties are on the women. So I would like to have the same duties as the
So
men.
could we call that equality? You would
Yeah,
like some more
equality.
equality in life.
Yes.
I know I talk about my neighboring country. I went there and I was well received and looked after. I can never say enough about the families that used to take care of me, but I used to feel very sorry for the women. They never said anything, but they had to do everything and everyone else just sat there looking, and I didn't think it was very fair. So let's hope in the future people will open their eyes and think more that the women need help and they need more equality, no? And Claudia, would you like to change something?
In my family, I think I come from a huge family, and maybe I think we could be more affectionate, because all of us are very independent. Despite we love a lot each other and we support each other, but we are very independent. But at the same time, I think when you live or you grow in a huge family, maybe people think that has the right to interfere in your decisions, especially when you are the younger one. Everybody wants to give an opinion of your life, and I know for the best, but it's not always comfortable.
Yeah, they don't let you learn. No, they don't let you have that moment of learning. No, I just remembered now when I had my children, my in-laws used to tell me how to look after my children. So I never had a choice of how to do, I don't know, to change a nappy or to give a bottle. They told me how I had to do it, which is just a simple thing I'm giving as an example, no? Yes, it's very easy for people to tell you what to do, no? And sometimes it would be nice for us to learn by ourselves a little bit, and if we need help, to go and ask for it, no?
Yes.
So I must say, girls, thanks very much for being so open with these opinions, because it is a little difficult. Now, a nice question, Luisa. If you won a trip to the Caribbean, who would you take with you?
Myself.
Go by yourself, nobody else.
Just kidding, just to make a joke.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was thinking about this question when I saw it before, Letty. But I would go with some dear friends, not someone of my family, definitely. My best friends to
It's
share.
because maybe you would enjoy it more, and it's only once in a lifetime, and any other trip you can go with somebody else, no?
Yeah, we have to share this, you know,
this moment,
happiness,
this special moment, no?
Yeah.
And you, Lydia, who would you take?
If I had the choice, I would like to take all my beloved ones, but as I have only one to choose only one, so it would be my husband, because he always take me with him when he is traveling. Yeah.
That's so romantic, Linda.
So romantic.
I don't know what to say. I'm going to leave it at that. It's so romantic. And you, Claudia?
It depends on the objective of the travel. So if I want to have a really nice time, I think it would be, I would go with my best friend or friends as Lusa. But in a romantic way, I would like to go with a great partner to enjoy the beauty of the Caribbean and the beaches. And oh my gosh, that's so romantic.
So Claudia has a point. Depends what we want from the trip. Don't use the word travel, I think, because travel is more like a verb. Okay, so depending on the trip or the journey, your objective, Is it to like have a great time singing, dancing, drinking, or whatever? So you would take one person, and if you wanted a more romantic, like Linda, well, you would take your husband or a partner. So it's not that easy, the decision, but you have a point, Claudia. We need to think of what we are looking for and what we want from our trip to the Caribbean. If we want some peace and quiet, we have to go by ourselves. That's very clear, no? And maybe we could find someone there when we went, Claudia, in the Caribbean.
Yeah. Caribbean guy.
It depends what we want, no? Now this question, Luisa, why can someone be afraid of being adopted?
No, that question is so hard. Oh my gosh. But I was thinking a little, and maybe actually I'm considering that it's a child that can be afraid of being rejected, maybe because he or she is different from the others in that family, and this child can be afraid of making some mistakes and be,
yeah, so they could be afraid of being told they are adopted because of the negative reaction of other people.
Yeah, and maybe he or she meeting the birth parent and hurt someone in the adoptive parent.
What are those called? They're called biological, no? The biological parent. So maybe when they are an adult or 18 and they would like to find a biological parent, they could hurt the adoptive feeling.
Family.
Okay.
Yeah, I have this situation, and some relatives. That's why I remember, and I'm telling this.
I know also, I'm not going to say, but in some countries, the people frown on adopted children. Frown on means to look down at them or look at them in a bad way, right? To frown. I will write it later when we finish. So some countries don't accept adopted children.
Oh,
yeah.
My gosh. Yeah.
Lydia, what do you think about the problems if you were adopted or the child who was adopted?
This subject, I'm concerned about it because I don't have kids, and sometimes I think about adopting
a child.
But I'm afraid really that I can't be a good mom for him, or maybe when he grow up, he won't accept me as a mom, or there will be some difficulties in raising him up. And also here in my country, it's difficult. For example, you can't give him your name. So anyway, he would know that you are not his mom, his biological mom, and some problems will be occurring in the future. So it's a difficult situation for me, and I can't get any decision till now.
Yeah, so you can't make any final decision because of society. You are afraid of the stigma that could go with this, right? I'm trying to think of new words we can explain the same thing. Because in some societies, it is not well seen a child who is adopted.
Yes.
And so your heart could be in the right place and you want to do a good job, but maybe society would make it into a handicap to be able to do this. It's going to be challenging enough just doing it, but society are going to make it more difficult because of the biased way of thinking.
Yes.
Right? So absolutely. I understand where you're coming from, and I understand the problem that you have thinking about this. They said to me a couple of years ago, I should adopt another child. Because I have two girls and they've grown up, and I had a free life, if you could think about it. And I was afraid to adopt because I was afraid of the child. And it's one thing that you have a problematic child, emotionally or not, but to have one that is, because if I adopted, it wouldn't be a baby. It would be a child of about 9 or 8, because that is the age they have now, no? Very difficult to adopt a baby. And I thought that child would come with a lot of emotional problems. And I didn't know if I was prepared or qualified to be able to deal with these emotional problems. I was afraid. That's it. I was afraid to get into something I couldn't control. So I didn't do it. Because here where I live, there are quite a few children who are in foster care. And I was even, foster is different to adopt. Foster is that you only have them for a short time until their real family can look after them again. So that's called foster care. So you never adopt them. You only have them for a limited time. You're there to help, no? And then to adopt is a more legal way of doing it. And they're yours forever, no? You give them your name and everything. So there's two things there. And you, Claudia, what do you think about this?
Adoption for me is a transcendental decision. You need to be absolutely sure that that's what you want, because I think stereotypes of the society maybe are pushing some couples to adopt. And you need to know if you are really prepared to be parents, because it's very difficult. It's not like adopt a pet or a puppy. And maybe the problem is that you are not enough convinced in your inner side. And after that, if you are convinced, you can develop the kind of love that you need to raise the child. But if not, it would be very difficult for both the child and the parents. And
here where I live, there are quite a few children from China or Asia who have been adopted. So I can see an added problem because of the culture, because at the end of the day, they have the physical appearance, their emotional well-being as someone from Asia. And so these people celebrate the Asian celebrations. If they're from China or Vietnam or wherever they are, they do that life, and also they do the Spanish one as well. And so you have to be very giving, no? And very open. And I was afraid. I must admit, I was afraid, and I didn't get involved because I didn't think maybe I couldn't cope, no? Right then, the next one, Luisa, the most important person in your family.
It is a statement that is hard for me to answer.
I'm going to be funny like you, Luisa. My daughter would say her dog.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. But because in what sense I would ask you, in what sense you mean the most important? For some families, the father is the most important person because or he makes a living, you know. This
right. So they are the breadwinner.
Yeah.
Breadwinner. Okay.
Breadwinner. Yeah. But in my family, can be my grand dog.
I was being funny there because I went to visit my daughter yesterday, and the dog, he loves me, and I don't see him very often. And he came to me, he was jumping up at me, and my daughter was going, "Oh, Mama, look how much my dog loves you, and you don't love my dog." But I think in my case, the most important person was my husband, because I had two daughters, and my daughters love their family, their father, sorry, love their father so much. He was like the role model, the head of the family. I don't know. I just know the feelings were very strong for him.
But actually, I never thought deeply about this, like, because everyone in my family have has the same, love of mine. So yeah, that's why I'm quite confused about this question.
So
but
the
yeah,
most important person in your family is your family.
Yeah, can be.
Okay, then.
Sure.
And Lydia?
Yes, for me, every member of my family is important. I can't really make a choice, but in my society, people tend to consider the mother as the most important person in the family, because, you know, in my society, when the mother passed away, the father got married again, and maybe he forgot about his children. But the mother never get married again. Even if her husband pass away, she will stay with her children and take care about them, and she will face anything to just raise up her children. So that's why we consider the mother the most important member.
And also, I think in the Quran, it says, if you want to go to heaven, you need to love your mother.
Exactly.
That's my own translation. There'll be another translation, but more or less, if you want to go to heaven, you need to go through your mother, more or less like that, no?
Yes.
So that's even giving it more importance to the mother. I used to say, and the father what? And the husband what? So in this case, it's the mother who's the most important. And Claudia?
I think in the family, each member has its own place and role, and everyone is irreplaceable. Wow. And of course, the mother is the strongest image of the family, I think. And in my case, I think my kids, my children are in another place, because it's a special love that you feel for them. No, there's no comparison. And I think they are not included in these categories, but they have their own place. But for me, my sisters and my mother, I think they are the most important for me, because I'm so close with them. Mm-hmm.
Right, but that's very good. You've got to say that you're very lucky if you can say these things, because there are other people who aren't so lucky with the family, no? Right then, girls, to finish, do you think life is easier or harder for children these days compared to your childhood?
Oh my gosh. Let me start.
Yeah.
I would say that each age, how can I say?
Generation?
Period, in period, in time, it has it's difficult. In the past, I can consider I was happy as a child, but nowadays, we have so many, facilities compared
Material
to
things,
the past.
no?
Comparing to my childhood. But at the same time, I see the childhood nowadays. I'm talking about in living in big cities where I live. I see, the children, closed in condominiums with,
Oh, they're like in little groups, in tribes,
yeah,
no?
yeah, afraid of violence. And in my childhood, it's impossible to think about this amount of violence we have today.
So
So,
maybe to sum up, financially or materialistically, you didn't have as many things, but
yeah,
emotionally, you had more things.
yeah, because you felt safer. I'm talking about violence because I live in a big city, so it's
You can feel that, no, around you. Oh, I think something happened to her internet. And Linda, how do you feel?
I think depends on countries, and for example, in my childhood, in the 19, the situation in my country wasn't good. It wasn't safe, and there were terrorism at that period of time, and there is nothing affordable here, and the economic situation was very bad, and it was very hard for my generation. And for the older generation, it was also my country were under French colonization, and it was the war, and it wasn't really easy. But since 2000, uh, things has changed, and the situation is more safer, and they have more things to offer to the children, and the situation is better nowadays. So I think that it depends on countries and societies.
Right. So now the situation in your country is more stable than it was before, because you have lived generations of war, of domination by other oh dear, you have lived domination by other countries and by war, but now you feel more stable, no?
Yes.
And what about you, Claudia?
People tend to say that past time were always better than now, but I think that's always our perception, because maybe we were happier, or we had another lifestyle, but it depends. I think they are growing in a different environment, and they have more tools, and world is changing quickly, and they need to adapt. And maybe some years later, they will say the same. Maybe the past was better than now, but it's relative. I think so.
Yeah, because it depends what you want in life, no? So if you ask my teenagers here, they have more material things like brand name tracksuits, trainers, mobile phones, etc. But I think, just between you and me, they haven't got the emotion or the love that maybe you could have felt when you were a child. I think they're quite distant from their parents, in the sense that parents are so busy earning money to buy them those things. I'm talking in general, no? So depends what they want in life. If they want a mobile phone, they're happier now than they would have been before. But they have never had the sensation of a close family, maybe, the love from the family. And so they have missed out on that. And as Luisa was saying as well, maybe life is more dangerous now, depending where you're living, no? I must say I'm quite lucky where I live in this small city. My girls have been able to go out when they were young teenagers, and I didn't have to worry. Whereas if they lived in the UK, I wouldn't have felt so safe. So we must ask ourselves, what quality of life do you want? And maybe before, some of the things were better in the sense of emotions and closeness, no? But materialistically, we could have more things in the house or wherever, no? Right then, girls, would you like to say anything before we finish? Because this is the end of our questions for today.
Yes. Yes, I would like to thank you, Letty, for this meeting. It was nice and interesting as usual, and it was nice to see you all.
Yes, you had to do a lot of soul searching, no, to answer these questions, and you had to give a lot of yourself in giving the answers. And Claudia?
Thank you. It was very interesting because many questions that you are asking us, I've never thought of them before this meeting. So you need to think and you need to evaluate your life. And it's very interesting to think about another situations.
Yeah, just for a moment, take a break and think about it. So these questions were taken from the B2 speaking exam. So I'm not the author of them, but I chose them from a lot of the things. So you have to talk about the family. And when you get to a higher level, they ask you more serious questions. Maybe you could say it that way, because you have to think of how to express yourself in this difficult question that they ask you. Well, girls, thank you very much again for sharing your thoughts and part of yourselves in answering my questions.
Thank you so much.